For January 17th to order. Seems like we haven't been here much. I'm glad that it's supposedly going to warm up, but it doesn't look like it's going to get above freezing for the rest of the week. So at some point, maybe spring, we'll get some thaw and the stuff will go away. In the meantime, maybe the insurance commissioner can tell us how many car wrecks we're having and whether people are sliding off. So. First item on our agenda is bill introductions. Eric, I think you have one or two, three or four?
Just one today, Mr.
One,
Chairman.
okay.
Eric Turek here from the Kansas Insurance Department. We seek to introduce RS 2458. In statute, there is no limit to the amount that the Kansas Insurance Department can charge insurance companies for financial examinations. This would set a maximum amount. So,
Okay. Committee, are there any questions? Any objections? Seeing none, the bill will be introduced. Okay, we will now turn our attention to our annual update on the insurance industry and the things that are going on at the Insurance Commissioner's Office. And I would like to welcome Vicki Smith to the podium to give us an update. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you so much. It's always a privilege to be here with you. 6 years ago, I remember I stood here and was really nervous, number one, but was wondering how I would transition from my role of being in your seat into this role. And I'm happy to say that that transition has gone really well for me anyway, and I really enjoy my job. But having said that, I want to convey to you my thanks because I know what a sacrifice these next couple of months are for you. And I know some of the stresses and some of the great things to celebrate during the next couple of months. But thank you for doing what you do. It's really important work, and you do a great job representing your constituents and looking out for Kansans. So I appreciate the sacrifices that you're making, especially if you live out of town and you're coming to this glorious tundra to do the work. So thank you. Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the insurance department today, and I know you've heard us say before that the mission of the insurance department is to regulate, educate, and advocate. And my job is to carry out those duties efficiently and also at the same time effectively serve all Kansans while we're doing it. The department does a lot of work, has done a lot of work to advance those goals and those missions, and so I want to share with you some of the highlights. I'm going to start with the regulation piece. It's been a priority of mine since taking office to make Kansas a great place to do business for the insurance and the securities industry. I've talked a lot about Senate Bill 37 through the years. You passed it in 2021. It overhauled the entire producer licensing operation that we have, and we transferred the operations to the National Insurance Producer Registry, also known as NIPR. As the bill was being considered, we were asked to provide that fiscal note on what it would cost the department or how it would reduce the revenue in the department. We had estimated at the time that it would cost the department or reduce fees to the department by about $5.2 million over a 2-year period of time. The most important piece of that is, though, that's money that we saved the industry, and it lowered the cost of doing business right here in Kansas. Well, we passed our 2-year period in the end of June 30th, and I'm happy to report that we actually exceeded that estimate, and the savings to the industry was $5.4 million. And that's a pretty big number to me, and obviously that number won't come back. Last year, you provided some flexibility in our statutes for us that we lowered certain insurance agent and agency licensing fees to the tune of $1.2 million annually, and that reduced the financial barrier to licensure here in Kansas. Continuing on that licensure front, the department now has a live scan fingerprint machine, and we have that in the office, and we do those fingerprints at no charge for people, and you can now get your fingerprints taken at over 20 locations in the state. COVID put a big explanation on that for us about how hard that was to get that, and that kind of shut down some of our licensing procedures during COVID, and so we got busy and tried to find some other solutions. At the department, we've taken 117 free fingerprints since March of last year. We're taking more and more every day as people understand that we can do that. We wanted to offer a free option for Kansas applicants, and again, that can be done at the office. We've also reduced the fingerprint fee by $10 to better align the cost, and again, lower the barrier entry for our Kansas producers. But I do want to, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I do want to say that that cost of fingerprinting at $10 cost is with the KBI, and I don't have jurisdiction over them yet. No, and nor do I want, please. Forget this is being recorded. Okay. I'm getting looks from the back. I can feel them. Okay, but we didn't stop at producer licensing. Last year, House Bill 2093, I know you all remember these numbers, allowed us to eliminate certain group-funded pool assessments, and so we returned roughly $150,000 of unused funds back to the pools. Due to the healthy balance of the Workmen's Compensation Fund for 2024, I decided not to charge an assessment this year. That will save insurers $3 million compared to the previous year. And that, again, that's money that stays in the pockets of Kansas businesses. After many meetings and discussions, we overhauled the operation of the Kansas Automobile Insurance Plan and moved the operation of that plan to APSO. That will save the industry a minimum of $300,000 annually. And actually, this first year, we'll see more savings because they have a building to sell and furniture and equipment and things like that. APSO is a management organization and service provider in the automobile residual market, and they manage plans in over 30 states. So we have been really pleased with how that transition has gone. That transition happened January 1st. And just, it's not always on, it's not all this good news is not just on the insurance side of the house. You may remember in fiscal year 22 and 23, we put a moratorium on the securities registration fees. And that was a total saving of $32 million to the industry. We did resume those fees starting July 1st, but we cut them in half from what they were previously and better aligned with our costs. That's $40 million and counting in the reduction in securities fees alone. When you add it all up through our efforts at the department, and we have reduced the cost of doing business in Kansas by an estimated $50 million over the last several years. While that may not be eye-popping number to some of you that are on the budget committee, it does stand testament to our work in the age of increasing costs and spending. And I want you to know that you have my commitment that the department will continue to do everything we can to reduce the cost of doing business and cut our unnecessary spending. Many of those reductions are thankful to the legislation that you have helped us pass. And again, I want to thank you for helping me be fiscally responsible. The department has another bill this year that would give us some added flexibility in charging fees and lowering fees. So I hope you can see that I'm serious every year when I say that I want to make Kansas a great place to do business, and I want to deliver on that promise. On the education front, I want to talk a little bit about that. Industry regulation is a huge part of what we do, but it's not the only part. Another focus is our education portion of our mission, and I think we made some great strides here this year too. When I say education, I don't just limit that to the general public. We have to do education for the industry as well as our men and women in uniform. Last year, the department conducted 2 4-hour training sessions for Kansas law enforcement officers to help better identify insurance and securities fraud. Insurance and securities fraud can be really complex and really difficult to recognize. So we hope by training our law enforcement officers, we hope that they can help us find and stop more of these criminals. Insurance fraud alone costs a family of 4 over $400 every year in increased premiums. And our anti-fraud team has worked really hard to stop fraud in Kansas and pursue those that break the law. We have a recent example within our office of an employee that was hit by an uninsured motorist, and that uninsured motorist decided to show the police officer their insurance card on their phone, and that photograph was taken and that person did not have insurance. And so we also have the bump and buy, and we're not, I don't know whether this case will be a bump and buy, but where people have an accident and they'll sit on their phone and buy insurance before the law enforcement arrives. Those are called bump and buys. They have all kind of different names. But anyway, educating our law enforcement officers on this has been really important and has already provided some cases to us. So we hope to prosecute more of those. And who knows, we may even come with legislation about, I think it's $300 if you don't have insurance, and that doesn't even pay the premium for the, anyway. But I don't think that's on Eric's thing right now, so on his agenda right now, but stay tuned. We also hosted a lot of free presentations and training for our securities industry professionals on a variety of topics. So if you know somebody that needs a speaker or a presenter, please have them give our office a call. We're always available to do that. We continue to develop more free continuing education opportunities, not only for our securities professionals, but also for our insurance agents. Just last Tuesday, with the help of KAIA, and APSO, we offered a free CE training on that transition that I just mentioned from CAPE or KAIP to APSO. We had over 300 agents attending virtually, and so I'm really excited about that. We are planning for more free continuing education opportunities this year, so if you're an agent, keep an eye out for us, and we will be coming your way soon. This is just one of the many ways that we serve as a partner with the industry rather than a roadblock. Last but certainly not least, our Smart Invest KS program has increased our efforts to educate Kansans about investment fraud. We saw a 40% increase in new users to smartinvestks.com last year, and I'm confident that we're going to continue to see more people on that website as we increase our outreach efforts. There's a new design of that website, new information on that website, and we continually update that, and we really try to keep ahead of that. Last year, we met with thousands of people across 13 different events across the state. That doesn't count the numerous presentations that staff gave at various fairs and places, senior centers and things like that on a lot of different issues. I think the effort that we're doing is making a big impact, but I also know we have a lot of room to grow. Under advocacy, I know that many of you have heard me say that my thought is that the department is one of the best kept secrets in Kansas, and we are striving hard every day to change that. When I talk about making an impact on our educational efforts, I think our consumer recovery effort, our consumer recovery work is a great indicator of how successful we have been. But again, I know we have more work to do. I love what our Consumer Assistance Division does for Kansans, everyday Kansans. I know you may have heard that I troll Facebook for people that are having insurance issues, and it's true, I still do that. But I don't think my social media hunting has made a big difference, but I am proud to say that we have set another record this year for our consumer recoveries. And you are the first people to know about this number that I'm about to give you, so, you know, I don't know, drum roll please, but this year we returned $16 million to Kansas policyholders. And I want to make sure you know that isn't money that's going to the state general fund. That's money that is going back to Kansas policyholders. And I think our Consumer Assistance Division Director Leanne Crow should take a curtsy for that, because her division works hard every day to make sure that we're doing the right thing by policyholders. I thought the bar was set pretty high after last year. We had a record-setting year last year, but now we've had 2 years in a row where we've set records. I'll tell you, I don't anticipate to break this record next year, so I think we'll shift and start talking about how much we've recovered over the long haul instead of year to year, because we really did have a record-breaking year this year. Since 2019, though, speaking of since I took office, the department has recovered more than $35 million for Kansas policyholders. That number does not include the assistance that we have provided through NAIC's Life Insurance Policy Locator, which has found more than $69.6 million in life insurance policies for Kansans since 2019. The department heavily promotes this life insurance policy locator, and we refer hundreds of Kansans there each year. And it's not really in my notes, but they know I don't stick to them. One place that we have started working with people on this life insurance locator is we've started working with funeral homes. When a loved one dies and you head to the funeral home and there's lots of information that's given to you at that time and lots of decisions to make and all those things, we have we made a little card that's a life insurance locator, and many of the funeral homes, anybody we've talked to has gladly taken those cards and, slide them in, and it's not something somebody's going to look at probably the day that they're at the funeral home, but we do hope that, and we do know that they are looking at them. And I'm kind of proud to say that NAIC found out what we were doing, and now we've had requests from other states for to look at our cards and to reach out to funeral homes. On a side note, I do make calls every week to new agents, take a sampling of, areas of the state and different things that they've become licensed in, and I make those calls, and I called a person on a pre-need that had gotten a license and said, sure you already have a job. Oh yeah, I work for this funeral home. Hey, have you heard about our card we have? And we've shipped them out, and they've already asked for a reorder. So I'm really excited about that. Anyway, all of this would not be possible without our Consumer Assistance Division, and they are really a hardworking team, just like everyone is at the Insurance Department, but they kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that. So let me stand before you and say this again. I'm probably the only elected official that'll ever stand before you and say this. I want your complaints. Please send us your complaints. It's what we do. And judging by the last few years, we set a record last year for the number of calls we received and the number of complaints open. So please let us know about that. If you have a friend, family member, constituent that's having some issues, we want to hear from them. I mentioned our anti-fraud education earlier. I wanted to highlight just a few things on that front. In 2022, we doubled the number of fraud cases we sent to the Attorney General for prosecution. As you might remember, when I think it was 2017, the insurance department has contracts with the Attorney General to prosecute both our insurance and securities cases. And so we didn't double what we did this year, but we still had an increase in cases that were referred, and also, like I said, the total number of complaints we received. Unfortunately, for all of us, fraud increases during difficult times, and we have seen this happen in the office with our fraud complaints. In the case of security fraud, it's often extremely difficult to get back the money a victim lost after being scammed. If you've seen our Smart Invest ks.gov ads, you've heard us say that you're more likely to make a half-court shot on the basketball court than you are to get your money back after a fraudulent investment. Well, following that metaphor, I think KU and K-State should start recruiting our anti-fraud team. But anyway, and we do have some tall people in our department. Last year, they successfully investigated a securities fraud case, and with the help of the Attorney General, we recovered over 90% of the restitution dollars for the victims of that scheme. That is highly unusual to get anything above 7%. So we got really lucky there, and we do thank the AG's office for their help with that also. It is due to the great work that the anti-fraud team does every day, and I do want to acknowledge them here today. But these types of recoveries, again, are very rare, and that's why we try to stop the investment fraud before it happens. We want people to be more educated about it. The department has a bill before you this year. I don't think it'll be Wait, will it be, might be in this committee. Anyway, will be in this committee. I think in the House, it's in a different committee. Anyway, it has been adopted in some fashion in 40 states, and it's intended to do just that, to stop scammers. I hope that we can join that group of other states and strengthen our anti-fraud defenses right here in Kansas. Much of our legislative agenda is based not only on the issues we see, but also what the industry in both insurance and securities tell us about. So for example, I meet with all of our domestic insurers each year. I want to hear from them what's going on in their business model, and I also want to know how the department can be a better regulator. They usually have some suggestions for me. The first year they didn't know what to expect. So, you know, that was kind of, but now they have a laundry list, which is good. I appreciate that. But anyway, so one of the things that came up, and they give us a lot of really good feedback. One of the things that came up was the bill that I think Eric just introduced today. So, you know, we do take their suggestions very seriously, and you know, firmly believe in state-based regulation. And I think, you know, we bring some of those issues to NAIC, and certainly we take note of what's going on at the association there. It's been a busy year for the department and for me personally, and I really want to thank you for helping us further our mission. And I do look forward to working with you all session long, and out of the session, if we can ever do anything for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know we in there, but I do want to recognize the staff that's here with me today. Eric Turek is the Director of Government and Public Affairs, and I know Eric is a frequent flyer. If he's not a frequent flyer in this committee, you need to call me. But I believe he is here every day looking after you guys and assisting if you ever need anything. Kyle Strothman is here. He's our Public Affairs Manager, and he works with Eric, and he'll be doing some things here at the State House this year too. Dan Klukas is the Securities Commissioner, and I know he's a familiar face to you also, and appreciate him being here. Leanne Crow is the Director of Consumer Assistance, has been the director since I've been in office, and she's does a great job there. And then Mandy Rowe, Chief of Staff. Mandy, I think most of you know Mandy. If you ever need anything from the department, you can always start with Mandy. She's kind of your 411, and she can get you to where we need to go. Once again, I just want to emphasize our agenda is designed to improve our operations, provide regulatory certainty for the insurance industry, which I think is very important, and to better protect Kansans, whether that be from fraud or whatever, however we can help them. I also, before I close, want to give a special thank you to Eileen. She has, we start sending her bill drafts in August or September, and no, October this year? No. Eric. Okay. We'll talk about that later, Eileen. Anyway, but Eileen, the working relationship that we have with Eileen, you know, as a senator, I don't think I ever realized what a revisor does for an agency like ours. We have these great ideas, and we're just sure that we've nailed it, and we've sent her everything. All she's going to have to do is put an RS number on it, and we're ready to go. Well, that just isn't quite the way it works. I really do appreciate her and the revisor staff for the back and forth that we have with them. It is really important to us. And certainly, Mr. Chairman, thank you for taking our calls and allowing us to try to explain our legislative agenda to see if there's any bumps in the road before we get here. And we really do appreciate that. And now that I have all these people here with me, with staff, I know we can answer any question you'd throw our way. But I'm really glad you have to get out of here before 10:30 to get to the floor, so.
Vicki, thank you very much for the very timely and informative presentation. I say timely because I'm speaking to CAPSIC at noon today, and you've just provided me my material. So
You want my notes?
I have them right here.
Yeah, good luck. They're a good group to talk to. I think we'll be there too.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Plagiarism, right from the witness.
AI.
Couple of questions, and then I'll open it up to the committee. I'm hearing a lot from my constituents about the PNC market particularly.
Yeah.
It seems that it's an extremely hard market right now. We're seeing increased premium dollars. We're seeing increased deductibles. We've now instituted wind and hail percentage deductibles. What do you see going on in the PNC market, and are there things we can do to help our constituents with that particular product?
Well, we are seeing a hardening of the market. The people that have been in the industry 40, 50 years say that, hardening of markets happen. It is cyclical, and we are definitely in a hardening part of the market, but it is certainly a concern to the department. It's a concern to me. We do approve rates, as you may know. We approve the forms and the rates. So by forms, I mean when they make changes into what your policy is going to cover and things, we look at those. And NAIC actually is helping states with some AI. We get sometimes the forms we get in on a policy, and what they want to offer on a policy will be over 1,200, 1,500 pages long. And we are looking at one of our examiners to look at all of those things. It's easy to miss the things, the small things that may have changed. So NAIC uses some folks, some actuaries and others, and we're using some AI to look for some of those changes and things. So we try to do that. As far as the rates go, I can tell you that unfortunately, the rates that we approve are actuarially sound. Part of my job is to make sure that companies have money to pay out claims when they come. And we've had some events that have made those actuarial numbers, they're sound. And so we have done that. From the consumer standpoint, what I would tell people to do, and what we do tell people to do, is that every year it is important for you to check with your insurance agent, and for your insurance agent to have that rapport with you, and to be able to and to give you the information on what are some of the options that you might have in changing your plan or in making adjustments in your plan, whether that be a higher deductible, whatever that is. But I also will tell you that when the Andover tornado was about 18 months ago, and there was a very high percentage of individuals that were underinsured. And, they had not, I'll say, I know a few of them had not checked with their agent, had not had any, just paid their premium every year and sent it in, and that was the end of it. And the cost of building has gone up, the cost of labor and materials has gone up. And so it's pretty heartbreaking for an insurance company to deliver the check to the person and to be $40,000, $50,000 short of being able to rebuild their home. And that creates all kind of other drama for families, like I can't get my kids in the same school, I'm going to have to move to a different area of town and out of the school district and things. So I think that, the insurance agents, we get calls from them about the hardening of the market, and agents that aren't happy with some of the rates they're getting back from their companies. But I think you have to shop around, but make sure you understand what you're purchasing. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So I think we're all. I think the press release is going to come out today. So again, first, you heard it here. I'm actually going to serve on the Property and Casualty Committee on NAIC again this year, and I'm looking forward to that and really delving into some of these issues.
Thank you. Second question that I receive a lot, and I know it's very hard to argue with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but that's bundling. And so particularly hear a lot from senior citizens who may not drive anymore, who don't own an automobile policy, and so therefore they're not receiving up to a large discount on their homeowner's insurance because they can't bundle it with a car. As an automobile dealer who I don't personally own a car, I am in the same situation as they are. I luckily can pay my house insurance premiums, but I do have a concern about older citizens who don't have the ability to bundle because of the fact that they're no longer driving.
That is a concern also, and I understand that concern. The bundling, sometimes those bundling deals aren't as good as they portray them to be. But, oh, by the way, though, I do know somebody you could buy a car from if you needed it. Yeah, I think we see that. We also see that on, one of the other ways we see that is that some people, in this day and age, believe it or not, there are some people that don't use credit cards, and you don't have a credit score, and then you get whammied in that arena also. You know, the bundling, insurance companies believe that that's a way to decrease costs for those people that are buying lots of insurance from them. But yeah, I'm not sure. NAIC has done. I know we've talked about it at one of the meetings, but I'm not sure what the status is on, I know they were going to look at how many companies offer bundling, who doesn't offer bundling, and there are still some companies out there that don't bundle. So again, shop around.
Okay. And then my third and final point, and maybe the biggest that I'm hearing, particularly from small business, is liability insurance, and particularly umbrellas. It appears like there's been substantial premium increases in those, and also a lot of people leaving the market. So if you can purchase it, it's much more expensive. Is that a result of the hardening of the market? Is that a result of legal changes in the environment over the last 5 or 6 years that have possibly increased awards? Are there things that we could do legislatively on liability? Maybe reestablish a cap that the Supreme Court might look at. What are some things that we can do, particularly on liability coverage, that would make that market more accessible?
I think all the above of what you mentioned. A Judiciary Committee, I think, is a key to that, because the awards have gone up. I know the awards have gone up, and the severity of some of the accidents have definitely increased because, honestly, people are driving faster in our world. But the reinsurance market is also playing in there, and the reinsurance market is really hard, especially in Europe, where companies go to get reinsurance, in Bermuda, and I mean, that reinsurance market is affecting both the P&C market and what you're talking about. And I do think the awards have advanced very quickly, and there's a lot more advertisements that hit us on how to pursue litigation, and those have definitely increased. So all of those, but I do think, it's never a bad time to look at some of those caps or some of those other tools that you may have to help with that, because the umbrella policies have gone up. And like you say, if you many of those companies aren't writing them anymore. Some of those companies aren't writing anymore.
Thank you very much. My committee members are looking at me like I've exhausted my time, so I'm going to turn it over to them. Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here, Madam Commissioner. And I just want to applaud Leanne and Mandy. As you know, as a health insurance agent, I get those questions every day with people with consumer complaints, concerns, questions. Many of my colleagues here at the Capitol will send me people like, can you help them? And our federal legislators have sent me folks and say, this guy, can you help this person? I know that I'm going to work with the insurance company and see what we can do. Maybe it's really their fault. Work with the consumer. Have you turned in? Maybe it was this or that. Go back and look at the policy. But I know that I have an ace in the hole when I've done my homework, and I can send it off to these guys and say, here's the situation, and then have the consumer say, wow, we no more than turned in that complaint, and they got right back to me, and yeah, something was done about that, but we want to make sure that the person was in the right. So quick question. So anyway, thank you, girls. Appreciate that very much. The Medicare supplements are overseen by the department. And so we have Medicare Advantage that's overseen by the federal government, then we have Medicare supplements. I am running into people who are buying a Medicare Advantage plan, never canceled, this is like the third year they've had a Medicare Advantage plan, never canceled their supplement. They think it would automatically cancel, it does not. And so they have been paying that supplement premium, sometimes to the tune of $350. Just help somebody. A couple of weeks ago, well, it was during annual enrollment period, and I said, I see here on your Medicare.gov account that we just went on together that you have this policy. I don't know what that would be. It's been coming out of his bank account for 2 years. What can we do if they've never used it, if they had a Medicare Advantage plan, they already had a Part D plan? What can we do here in Kansas? I'm happy to come to your office and talk to you about that. I'm not asking for an answer today about folks like this that had no idea that they needed to cancel that, and it just keeps going.
Well, I think that's a problem, that I would hope that the folks at the Medicare Advantage plans can see that these people still have med subs.
They can't see it.
They can't.
No. The Medicare Advantage companies turn in that I just signed up this person, let's say Aetna contacts CMS and said, I just signed up this person for Medicare Advantage. If they had Humana or another policy, they automatically will contact Humana and say, they have a different Medicare Advantage, but the trigger is the Part D drug plan.
Yeah.
So the Part D drug plan automatically cancels, and that if there was another Medicare Advantage plan, that automatically cancels. What doesn't cancel is the SUP, and the new company has no idea whether they had one or didn't have one.
Well, I think that's a great thing for us to start educating people on.
Yes.
That if you're going to sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan, then you do need to cancel your supplemental plan. I'm not sure there's any recourse with the companies for non-use of the, because the likelihood that I think the feds actually ought to do something about that, but
Yeah.
Since the conversion is going, I doubt if you have anybody that's on the Medicare Advantage and went to a Med Sup plan.
There's occasionally you do
Occasionally,
have
but
that.
not-
Occasionally you have that, but yeah, it's usually the other way.
The other way around, yeah. But
Well, I'd be happy to
be
work with you
Yeah,
on
and
that.
we'd be happy to work with you too.
Okay.
And certainly, those individuals can file a complaint with us, and we will pursue that and try to explain explain what happened there. But that is a tragedy for sure. That's a lot of money to go out the door.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Madam Commissioner, thank you for your presentation. And also congratulations on a stellar report here, and
Thank you.
you got an A-team behind you there, so I want to say thank you to each and every one of those. You learn something new every day in this business, and I'm sure you're aware of that. The NAIC Life Insurance Policy Locator, that's the first time I'd ever heard of that. I've had people in the past that have asked, I know Mom had this policy, but you can't find it. What basic information do you need on that? Just name, Social Security number, or do you have to know the name of the insurance company?
No, date of birth, basic information that a family member certainly would have. The good thing about this is that, many of these life insurance companies have been bought out through the years. We had a case of recently where a loved one, a father of someone had bought the policy in 1954 when they were a student at K-State, and then trying to find I don't know the name of the policy. I don't know that who holds it anymore, but I remember hearing Dad talk about that, whatever, and we can help with that. The life insurance locator is just magical. It goes across all states, and it also can trace back if company A sold to B and C and D, and now we're on L, it'll trace it all the way through. So, because, you know, after, I think it's 3 years, don't quote me for sure on that, but I think it's after 3 years, because the insurance companies get the death master file, and so the insurance companies get the file, and after 3 years of nobody claiming that, and they do try to, it's not like they sit there and not do anything. They do try to find people, but, you know, trying to find a beneficiary with common names is really difficult, and, you know, and then it goes into our unclaimed property. And so then it just sits in unclaimed property. And so, so I tell people check the unclaimed property along with the life insurance locator. But what NAIC has done with that, that device, that tool, has been nothing short of miraculous. States have seen huge increases in capturing what is owed to a beneficiary.
So birthday, social security number, just you don't need to know the name of the company.
No, you don't need to.
Basic information on the
You
individual.
don't need to know the name. Am I leading him wrong?
Nope,
Oh,
you were not, other than if you find something and there is a policy,
Leanne, come on up here so that
sorry.
people in the audience want to hear you. This is Leanne Crowe, our
Hello,
Director of
hi.
Consumer Assistance.
If you find, or if any of your constituents do find going through a lockbox or the shoebox or something, a certificate with a name on it, we can do those internally at the department. In fact, our Rates and Forms Division can track what the commissioner said can go backwards to where it started. And so we can handle those internally at the department because we do have a company name. The life insurance locator is really, like you said, it's if somebody thinks at Christmas they talked about it, but we can't find any paperwork or something, or, you know, that is what that's for. So it's built to knowing that people will have minimal information, but they will have a person's information, like their date of birth and things like that. So it's really a great tool. And if you need information on it, or one of your constituents, have them call me. I can email the link just so that all they have to do is hit that link, and it'll take them right to the NAIC policy locator. But if there's anything, we do have people often find a canceled check, saying, oh, they paid XYZ company and it's coming out of their bank account, but we can't find a lick of a document anywhere. We can contact XYZ company and say, could you check on this? So we can do a lot of these internally as well. The NAIC locator just takes a little bit longer because they only run that process one time a month. So for example, if you submit today, they may not send that query till later this month, where we can contact the company today and usually have a response a lot quicker. So just hope that helps. Thank you.
And we can get you, especially, we can get the committee those cards too, and just show you what we do. Yeah, thank you. See, I learned something today from Senator Gossage, so see, it's all good.
Senator Pittman.
Thank you, and I'll echo those comments that you guys have a stellar report every year, and I really appreciate having you in the office. Do you have a beneficiary locator too, so that if I'm a beneficiary, you know? They said yes. I love it. I don't need to know more. 2 questions, really. I'm concerned about the state of cyber insurance and personal information protection services. I think a lot of those things are billed out as the answer be all end all for certain businesses for like ransomware attacks. And I think I have a feeling that they're non-standard across the industry. And I don't, maybe you could let me know at a separate meeting what the state of Kansas, if we do any kind of regulation or standardization inside of those kind of spheres, particularly around, you know, like LifeLock programs and ransomware, cyber attack kind of insurance types things. So that would be fantastic.
We do have some information on that, and I will get that to you. I do know that that is part of our financial examination of companies now on the cyber side and on the IT side just in general, and I'll get that information to you.
And to be clear, it's really about the plans people and businesses purchase.
Right.
Do they actually fulfill what they say they're going to do, and do they offer anything more than just paying a hacker
Right.
the money? I'd like to know more about that, and if it's standardized across the different products. The second thing, and I'll echo the chairman's, we've heard double-digit, if not 20, 30% increases in and insurance premiums going up year over year for the last couple of years. Businesses, we have 33 or 53% of our Leavenworth City people are renters. The landlords are facing huge premiums on the renter, and that just drives the rent up. So it's a huge issue here as we see property taxes going up and these kinds of things. So I'll just reiterate that. But my question is really around, Senator Gossage prompted something. I'd heard some things about Medicaid and Medicare Advantage programs and potential challenges there for our elder citizens that maybe certain folks are preying on them. And I just want to know if we get your commitment to make sure that we have better education. You're working with the Attorney General's office to make sure these things are not becoming problematic for our seniors, because I have heard reports that they are becoming problematic.
Well, I echo exactly what you've said about they are becoming more more problematic. We now know that over 50% of the Medicare market is in a Medicare Advantage plan, even here in Kansas. There are no, I have no authority over their advertisements, over what you see on TV about, you know, hey, we'll pay you to come to this plan. I have no authority over that. In, I think it was 2003, the federal government took away the regulation from the state-based system and moved it into the federal government. We do work with our contacts at CMS. We are very fortunate here in Kansas to have a great relationship with a couple of people at CMS when we get complaints on Medicare Advantage plans. But our complaints on them have skyrocketed, and that's our fastest growing complaint area. When you siphon it off and look at it individually, it's hard to go back the other way, because then you're getting in, you're going to be underwritten to go, if you leave a Medicare Advantage plan and come back into the MedSup market. You know, we are doing our best to educate people on and to work with senior citizens and senior citizen areas, meetings, whatever, centers. Gosh, couldn't find that word. And to educate people to really know what you're purchasing. We are. I know NAIC just returned from a meeting that NAIC had, and I know that we've got another meeting coming up in a couple weeks, and that this is going to be front and center on the Medicare Advantage plans. I know there's some legislation in the Senate Finance Committee nationally to move the regulation back to the states. I would really like that because we would have a lot more tools than we have now.
Vicki, thank you very much. I really appreciate the presentation today and your willingness to take questions. I can assure you that we will do our best to process and consolidate your bills as they come through the committee. Maybe the RBC bill might be first. We'll see. But
I always love to be your vehicle person.
we will try to make sure that we get everything processed this year. So, committee.
Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Welcome. Committee, tomorrow we had no meeting scheduled, but because we did not meet yesterday, I have been able to move the bank, KBA's and community bankers presentation to tomorrow. So we will meet tomorrow, but we will not meet on Friday. As a reminder, we are expected on the floor in 5 minutes, so everyone needs to head that way. We are adjourned.